Both the U.S. Senate and both the U.S. House and Senate have started inquiries into a reported second U.S. strike on an alleged drug smuggling boat in the Caribbean that killed the survivors of an initial strike. Now, this is all raising questions about whether the U.S. actions broke the laws of war. Joining us now is Washington correspondent, NBC correspondent, Alice Barr. Alice, lay out what's behind this reporting and how soon hearings could come on Capitol Hill.
Yeah, we don't have an announced date yet on when those hearings will actually begin, but it's notable that Republican leaders of both the House and Senate Armed Services Committees are now the ones saying that this needs to happen. There needs to be oversight. This is a bipartisan push. And to back up a little bit, what we're seeing here is over the past several months, since September really, there have been these series of boat strikes off of Venezuela targeting drug smugglers. According to the Trump administration, we know more than 80 people have been killed. We have not seen evidence in each instance that there were, in fact, drugs and drug smugglers on board. But the Trump administration has said that this has been necessary in order to fight drug cartels. And in this specific instance, there is reporting of this second strike. President Trump is backing Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth amid this reporting that the Pentagon carried out a second strike on a boat to kill survivors of the first hit. The president said, quote, "Pete said that didn't happen. I have great confidence in him." A U.S. official and a source familiar with the actions tell NBC News it did happen on September 2nd, and the Washington Post, citing two sources, was first to report the second strike came because Secretary Hegseth had ordered all on board killed. President Trump said the administration would look into it and that he would not have wanted to see a second strike, but again, he is standing behind Pete Hegseth, the defense secretary.
We noticed that the Trump administration has been ramping up its military presence in the Caribbean, and has the president's rhetoric also increased? What else is he saying here?
Yeah, no doubt. President Trump has been focusing quite a bit on Venezuela, but there have been strikes in the Caribbean and on both in the Pacific as well, in fact, but all centered on this concept of knocking down the drug trade. And President Trump speaks about how many Americans are killed by drugs, and that this, he believes, is one of the most important ways to cut down drugs coming into the U.S. He has accused Venezuela's leader, Nicolas Maduro, of having ties to the drug cartels and being involved with bringing drugs into the United States. And so that has led him to really ramp up pressure on Maduro. And there has been a buildup as well of U.S. troops, a military presence in the Caribbean, all related to this. And then over the weekend, President Trump said that the airspace of and around Venezuela should be considered closed to all airlines. The president was asked about whether that meant that an airstrike was imminent, and he said not to read anything into it, but certainly it's raised a lot of concern and question in Venezuela among people wondering what that might imply.
Yeah, has Venezuela replied to this at all? Have they responded?
Yeah, so we have heard from Maduro, who said that he's repeatedly said that he does not have any ties to drug traffickers, and has argued that the American military presence in the region is meant to start a war and force him from power. The Trump administration has said that they are not seeking regime change, while at the same time, again, keeping up this focus. And worth reinforcing that the folks who are being very sharply critical of this particular alleged double strike, they are saying that this was a war crime, that it amounts to it. They're also, in fact, questioning whether this can even be considered a war, kind of the rationale here that the Trump administration is laying out, that they have to take these actions because they say these are narco-terrorists, and that gives them more latitude to act.
All right.
Chesley.
Alice, thanks so much for joining us. Thanks so much for the insight.